Now going over to the business bullet of the day, you have Ford having another recall, this time with the F-150. It just might, accidentally drop into first gear at any speed, which quite horrifying to say the least, and no, not good for the freight transmission. Yet another reason they should offer the F-150 with a manual transmission, also known as having 3 pedals, also known as the most fun you'll ever have while driving, because again, wouldn't have that issue in this case. Just saying, unfortunately, there's only one truck in the United States that you can buy new with a stick shift, and truth be told is infinitely more reliable, partially because this Toyota is the Toyota Tacoma, which again, you could also get in green, which if I won the lottery, I'd definitely get at least one of those, just because who wouldn't want a truck with a stick shift? Well, I know a majority of people know, but you know me. There's no way I'd ever drive anything else with that. But nevertheless, this is coming to us thanks to Natalia Amond over at USA Today. And they say, quote, Ford recalls more than 550,000 trucks because transmissions can suddenly downshift. Well, that's not great, Ford. What were you guys thinking? You guys have the top talented people assembling these vehicles, the United Auto Workers, the most expensive and talented union on the planet making these vehicles. How could there be an issue? Oh, that's kind of funny. They actually make the most unreliable cars. Of the top 10 cars that are estimated to reach 100,000 miles, there's one that was manufactured by the UAW. Ironically, it was actually the Ford F-150. Everything else was Honda or Toyota. I don't think that's a coincidence. Now, in this case, this also appears to be a sensor. I'm not saying it's installed properly. Maybe it's a manufacturing defect of the subcontractor who actually assembled it. But nevertheless, we'll dive in right here. Now they say, quote, according to a report updated Monday by National Highway, roll call. They say that, quote, Ford's recalling more than 550,000 pickup trucks because some transmissions can suddenly downshift in first gear, creating a possible crash hazard for regulators. In an updated report Monday, the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration wrote in its opening investigation into a recall of some of its F-150 vehicles made in 2014 by the Dearborn, Michigan headquartered company. According to the NHTSA, the recall covers 552,188 of the pickups due to a loss of signal between the transmission output shaft speed sensor and the powertrain control module, causing the truck to downshift into first gear, no matter how fast the vehicle speed is. Again, you wouldn't have if it had 3 pedals in the manual transmission and you were in charge of the fun driving experience. Again, there's only a couple of models of vehicles with it out there. Go out and buy it today while you still can. I cannot implore you enough. You will smile ear to ear when you're driving. It is so much more fun. No, it's not as fast. But again, I partially digress. They say that, quote, in addition, NHTSA wrote that there could be corrosion and issues with the pickup truck's transmission's connector pins. Now, they note that when they're going to be mailing these recalls later this year, they said that, quote, dealers in the agency were noted beginning on June 17th. Ford said that they will have mail notifications to let go into owners starting July 1st. Or just tune into this show and tell your friends, since we're usually ahead of the curve, especially when it comes to these types of recalls. Now, in terms of the recall number, which fascinatingly enough, you could argue if there's really infinite number combinations, depending on how many, there are letters and numbers, there's 3 or 4 or 5, there are certain limitations. Ford is really pushing it to the limit with all these recalls on how many different number combinations are left to name the recalls, but I partially digress. If you want to call Ford to see if your specific truck is affected by this recall, you can call Ford customer service, which I'm sure this number stays pretty busy. It's 1-866-436-7332. Again, their customer service is 1-866-436-7332. Now, the recall number specifically is 24V244. Again, or 24V244. That is a specific recall number for this particular issue. And again, in terms of business blunder, Ford, they've acquiesced from a lot of product categories. They used to make a lot of cars. The Ford Focus ST was a really fun hot hatch. And of course, it only came with the manual transmission, as partially albeit by default, I would argue. But they've been plagued with so many issues, and the profit margins are so slim on a lot of the crossovers, and these sedans and coupes, that they killed all their cars with the exception of the iconic Ford Pony Mustang, and I believe they had the Fusion for police sales, but everything else is gone. They focus on trucks and SUVs. Spoiler alert, that's where a majority of their profit comes from. And for F-150, of all the vehicles they make, that's supposed to be, they used to have the funny commercials where they have a big heavy-duty piece of metal that said Ford Tough drop into, looked like just dirt, and then the dirt would crumble. Ironically, when I see that commercial, I kind of think that the actual sign, the metallic sign that says Ford Tough, should crumble to a million pieces because they have so many subsequent recalls. Now, again, in this case, this is their showcase vehicle. It's the most popular truck, bar none, by number of units sold every year. not by reliability, but I can't help but wonder how much. I mean, is because there's also a cult following when it comes to trucks. I mean, a lot of people buy trucks just because they've had the same brand in the family for generations. There's a huge cultural aspect to the pursuit of truck. Truck is kind of fascinating. But again, in terms of business blunder, they keep having recalls for their most iconic and most profitable vehicle. These trucks they're more expensive than a house in some cases. The prices have gone up so much. That's of course also partially due to record inflation, thanks to the ineptitudes of our government. But this is your most important thing you make forward. This is what people buy. People are spending over $100,000 on a truck. Ironically, when trucks were first invented for the mass market, it was invented for farm equipment, is cheaper than a car. Now the equation is kind of flipped in many cases. So Ford having yet another recall, which again wouldn't have an issue if you had the option of giving people a manual transmission with 3 pedals, as all cars have by default, and trucks. But yes, having a recall of your most profitable, most important vehicle in the entire company lineup, I gotta say, Ford, that is certainly the business blunder of the day. Thank you everyone for taking the time to tune in. Again, trying to get to 4,000 subscribers by the end of the month. So if you could click that button, I really appreciate it. Also, leave a thumbs up, thumbs down, or comment is a great way to give me some additional feedback, letting me know how I can make the show better and better. Lastly, don't forget to take the time to tell your family, tell your friends, tell your coworkers, heck, tell your enemies, tell anyone and everyone. Just stay safe, fight the good fight.